top 5 wide receiver duo in the NFL?
I'm gonna say they can. Doesn't mean they will. It's clear and obvious that the Dallas Cowboys, if they're going to win games this year, it's going to have to be led by their offense, and it's going to have to be led by their passing attack. We'll see what happens with their running back situation and their ground game and their offensive line and how it develops on that end. But it's going to have to be Dak-centric, and CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens are going to have to dominate. When one guy's getting double-teamed, the other guy's got to go off. And it's got to go back and forth between those two. I do think they have the potential to do it. That doesn't necessarily mean it's going to happen. And the reason why I'm caveating it that way, the reason why I'm setting that condition is because I don't know how the two receivers are going to react if and when this team meets the inevitable adversity that we expect that they're going to face. We're going into the season calling the Dallas Cowboys the third best team in the NFC East at best. If things start out that way, based on the early goings of their schedule, if they get off to a 1-3 start or worse, do you start to see some bickering in that locker room? Do we start to see players turn on each other? We already know George Pickens is mercurial. We've seen people in CeeDee Lamb's camp turn on Dak Prescott. I just wonder how all of those players are going to coexist, especially if they don't get out to a fast start.
How many wide receiver duos right now, off the top of your head, would you definitively take over Dallas's? Cincinnati, obviously.
Minnesota obviously. Philadelphia, obviously.
Miami?
No. The Rams, obviously. That might be it. That might be it.
Tampa?
Ooh, yeah. Tampa. Tampa's pretty good. Tampa's pretty good. Right. Like I said, they're in the mix. They're right at. You know who could be?
I like San Francisco's, by the way.
You know who could be? Jacksonville. Brian Thomas Jr. and Travis Hunter, yeah, they could be in short order. So like I said, the Dallas Cowboys, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens could be, but if they are, they're 5 at best.
Canty or Canty, brought to you by Grainger. Can the Eagles become the next dynasty in the NFL?
No.
Already
They can.
You guys called it. Vegas East called it.
No.
With all of the Eagles love that we have been giving recently.
And they have
they predicted that you're going to turn on them.
No, I'm not turning on them.
It kind of happened.
They have one of my favorite players in the NFL right now, which is Jalen Carter. I love Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter is the best player on the team. And I absolutely love this guy. But I don't think they're going to have that dynastic run. I mean, they were dominant last year, but a lot of that was predicated on Saquon Barkley putting together one of the best running back seasons we've ever had in the National Football League. You're also looking at a year where they were very, very healthy. I don't know that you could depend on that year over year. So that's why I would fade the Philadelphia Eagles. Not saying they won't be a playoff team, but I don't expect that they're going to win another title.
It's already unsportsmanlike. Brought to us by Grainger. For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers access to over 1 million products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies never far away. Call, click, Grainger.com or just stop by today. Canty or Canty, can unsportsmanlike take credit for the new college football committee finally getting the seating rights?
I feel like we should, right? They finally went with a common sense approach in terms of how they wanted to organize it. We're going to base who gets the first round bye on the merits from what we saw on the field throughout the course of the season and not based on what a conference champion was. Like when last year we saw the Mountain West Boise State champion, they got a first round bye when they were the 9th ranked team in the college football playoff selection committee's rankings. That just made no sense. Arizona State, they got a first round bye when they were ranked 12th according to the committee in their rankings. So it just didn't make sense how they were doing it. So organizing it this way, it's what everybody is looking for in terms of the teams that have the best performances on the field being rewarded as such.
Let me ask you a question. You're a businessman outside of this.
What's up?
Yesterday on our show, people can go back on the podcast and listen. We talked about the expenses a restaurant would have to have matchbooks, and that you need your name on the matchbook, and how ridiculous expense that is. How much money do they spend to have these meetings, flights, catering, to realize the 4 best teams should be ranked 1 through 4?
I don't know. We could have solved it for a fraction of the cost. I guarantee that.
What?
Now, here's the flip side of that. All of the teams that had a first round bye last year lost. So do you really want the first round bye?
Yeah, but you know why they lost? They're not that good. Like, I'm sorry. Like, and by the way, just so people understand this, if the top 4 teams are SEC, good. If the top 4 teams are Big Ten, good. It doesn't matter. The 4 best teams should be ranked 1 through 4 and get the opportunity to have the week off.
So last year, if the committee would apply the new model to what the rankings were, it would have been Oregon number 1, followed by Georgia, Texas, and Penn State.
Well, none of them were the best team, which is interesting. Give me Oregon.
Oregon 1,
Texas,
Georgia, Texas, Penn State.
I say none of them were the best team. Would they have been with an extra week of prep?
Yeah.
I don't know. Ohio State was obviously dominant. I don't know. Maybe that changes the math on it, but I'm way more okay with that than I am with the 4 that we actually got.
Of course you are.
Canty or Canty, brought to you by Granger. Can the Wolves extend the series past 5 games?
No, they can't. This is done. This is done. I mean, OKC beat them from pillar to post in the first 2 games. I thought we were going to get a different response from the Timberwolves. We got a different response from Anthony Edwards, but Julius Randle, his co-star, was a no-show. I don't know why the Timberwolves were insistent on trying to force the ball down in the post to Julius Randle when he was being fronted. That was a fruitless endeavor. I just don't understand why they consistently kept doing that. And Julius Randle never found his footing. And it's clear that if you don't have all hands on deck against this Thunder team, you're going to get your doors blown off. So, no, I don't expect that this series is going to go beyond 5 games. I don't even know if this series is going to get back to OKC.
I want to point one thing out. I think Minnesota, looking back on it, told us a year ago they knew this could be an issue. What do I mean by that? There was something they did that I don't think that we paid enough attention to. They traded up in the draft for a lottery pick to get Rob Dillingham, a combo guard out of Kentucky.
Yep.
Now, why would they do that? Probably because of these moments like this where they realize we need an Anthony Edwards co-star eventually. Maybe not this year, but eventually we're going to need another guy who can do similar-ish things to Ant because they have no scoring. I mean, they cannot score outside of Ant. And they moved up in the draft and gave up assets to get a guy that theoretically, once he's ready, can help him. Canty or Canty, brought to you by Granger. Can the Knicks rebound and win Game 2?
Yes, the Knicks can rebound and win Game 2. I'm expecting them to win Game 2 because if they don't, they're going to be in a world of hurt going back to Indiana down 0-2. So, yeah, the Knicks, they can win Game 2, and it's going to start with being more consistent in terms of not turning the basketball over and tightening up on the defensive end. The Knicks are not a team that want the pace to be in the 120s or the 130s. They got to slow this thing down. They got to find a way to dictate the complexion of the game, establish the terms of engagement against this Indiana team. Because if you're playing at a pace where the 2 teams combine for 260, 270 points, then this is going to be a shorter than expected series.
Canty or Canty, brought to you by Granger. Game changers. Count on Granger for professional-grade products, fast delivery, and free technical support. Call clickgranger.com or just stop by to get what you need. Can CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens become a...
Hello, xin chào tất cả các bạn nha. Mình sẽ giới thiệu cho các bạn về kênh của mình và những video của mình cho các bạn biết được là kênh của mình làm video sáng tạo nội dung về chủ đề gì. Video của mình sẽ làm xuyên suốt về chủ đề cắt dán này. Mình sẽ cắt dán những sản phẩm như thế này cho các bạn xem. Còn đây là những sản phẩm mình đã hoàn thiện rồi. Sẽ giới thiệu sơ qua cho các bạn xem những sản phẩm của mình và cách của mình tạo ra những sản phẩm như thế nào. Và để tạo ra được những sản phẩm đa dạng màu sắc như thế này và như thế này thì mình sẽ cần những dụng cụ như sau. Những dụng cụ phụ bổ trợ như là đây là giấy thủ công màu các bạn.